Okay, we've been talking just a little bit about selectively lightening areas of a photograph to help bring your attention to the main subject. And as you take a look at this one here, you have a photograph of a window on an old barn side, and you have some neat kind of dappled shade going on there. But really the point of most importance to us is this window right here. That's really where we want to draw attention. So as I look at the dappled sunlight here, it is a little bit light in some areas, and that's competing for attention with that window. And we could still have the same effect of that dappled shade if it were just a little bit darker. So let's go through a process here where we're going to easily go ahead and make that darker. So the way to proceed is first we're going to go all the way up to the top here and put our mouse on the word select. We'll click there and select all. And you can see we have those marching ants going around the outside of the photo. After we select everything, we're going to go to select and save selection. I'm not going to worry about naming it, but we want to make sure it is opening up this new selection in a new channel. And we're going to click OK for that. And what it ended up doing, if we go all the way over here to the right in our layers palette and click on channels, you can see that it opened up this new Alpha 1 channel down here. So what we're going to do now is turn the visibility on that channel and highlight that channel, so that is really what we're going to be working on. Okay, so again we now have this area here and we've saved the selection. It's made it as a new channel. Now what I need to do is go all the way over to the left hand side here and grab the gradient filter. So I'm going to grab that gradient tool, and all the way up at the top we have to determine how this is set. If we hit the down arrow along this toolbar here, you can see that there's a number of ways that the gradient tool can be applied. What we want to do is apply this one here, which is foreground to transparent, and if we click on that, and you can see that our foreground color is black, which is good. And then the next thing we have to do is determine how we want this gradient to be used. Do we want a linear gradient, which means it'll start wherever we begin our mouse and gradually fade to nothing? Do we want a radial gradient, which is going to draw a circle, etc., etc.? So you can see from the pictures here what we're talking about. We're going to grab the linear gradient in this instance, and I'm going to bring the mouse down inside the photo. Now, what area is it that we want to make a little bit darker? Well, we obviously want to make some of this area down here a little bit darker, and it probably wouldn't hurt if the area over here on the left hand side was a little bit darker as well. So I am going to put my mouse where I want to start my gradient. Now the gradient goes from very dark or almost black and gradually fades to transparency or no effect whatsoever. So if I start the gradient tool right where it is now, that means everything to the left and bottom of that gradient tool is going to be the darkest that we can have, and it's going to fade from there. So I'm telling you this because I don't want to start the gradient all the way over here and have a real gradual fade. I want to have something a little bit more dramatic. So I'm going to start by clicking here, and now as you can see the line on the mouse, I can pull it in whatever direction I want. If I pull it straight out in this manner, you can see this red mask that's formed now. You can see that it's going to darken all of the left with very little darkening to the right, which is probably not exactly what I want to do in this situation. What I think I want to do instead is I want to create an angle that goes across the photo, kind of like that. So I'm going to put my gradient tool here, and I'm going to bring it at a bit of an angle, keeping in mind that that would do only the bottom, that does only the left side. So we want some of the bottom and some of the left. I'll try it pointing like that, and you see how this red masked area pretty much hits kind of what I want there. So once we do that, we're now going to go over here in the channels palette again, and we're going to click on the very top channel there that says RGB, and you'll see that it actually highlights all of those. And we're going to click on select and load selection, and we want to make sure we click this invert box here and say OK. And now you'll see that our marching ants have changed. It's no longer around the entire image, but instead it's just around that image that we've created this mask. And that's the area that we're going to make darker. With the red mask on it, though, unfortunately, if we make it darker, we're not going to be able to see how much darker we're making it. So all we're going to do is come over here to the channels palette again, turn the visibility off on that alpha 1 channel. We still have our marching ants, but now we see the picture exactly the way we want it. Okay, now I'm going to go to Image, Adjustments, Levels, and I am going to go ahead and change my levels, which is only going to change it in the area that's selected. That's the area where the marching ants are. And I'm going to start by grabbing my center slider here, which affects for the most part the middle gray tones. You can see if I move it to the left, everything within that area is getting lighter, and I move it to the right, everything within that area is getting darker. So I want to go ahead and make this darker, and I want to make it pretty significantly darker without it looking too fake. You know, if we do something like that, that obviously doesn't look real at all, so nor does that. So we need to back it off to a point where we think it looks reasonable, but it's dark in that area so that it'll help to draw some more attention to the white window. And I think I'll stop right there and click OK. Now, we've significantly darkened that bottom left-hand corner, and just to see the difference, I'm going to click on our history here, and let's see where we started this ordeal. We started right there, and now we are right here. You'll notice when I click back and forth that I took the liberty of straightening this out prior to telling you about the gradient darkening as well. So you can see that it is significantly darker. In my opinion, that helps the photo. So if we have that the way we want, then all we have to do is deselect that area. So I am going to deselect it now. So in order to deselect it, we're going to hit select and then deselect, and you can see those marching ants are now gone. You know, as I look at this, you can see a greenish cast to it. This was obviously a color photograph. It might not be a bad idea to play with this and maybe make it a black and white image as well. And another thing I might try to do too is I might try to go ahead and take a marquee tool and highlight the window and apply a sharpening tool to the window only. So by doing all of those things, it could bring more attention to this. So that's how you're going to apply that gradient mask to darken an area up. The really interesting thing about that, again, is if you take a close look at this, unlike the Dodge and Burn tool in Photoshop, you really cannot tell that that darkening was applied. So good luck. I hope you can apply this well for yourself. It also works pretty nicely in trying to darken up the sky with a landscape photo.